Okay, welcome. It's Saturday, so I'm doing this a little ahead of actually the beginning of Pisces, which starts next week out. Actually, ironically enough, it starts late in the evening here um, on Sunday. Anyway, I wanted to tap in here while Aquarius factors were still in play, because even going into the Pisces season, which starts this ostensibly this next week, there are still some Aquarian factors that have that are lingering. Let's call it lingering, that are worth pondering as we do this shift from Aquarius into Pisces. How best to do this? I think best is to actually go to the chart for what's going on. Yeah, this is Sunday. You can kind of see the sun here at 29 degrees, 29 minutes, which means that, and I do my charts for 8 o'clock in the morning, that half a day from now, or 12 hours, the sun is going to be moving into Pisces. So about 8 o'clock in the evening here on the West Coast, and 11 o'clock on the East Coast. And in Europe, well, it's already gone into Pisces. So this Aquarian dance, apparently, that's been going on with the 5 celestial bodies, Pluto, which is going to hang around there for 20 years, is not in that, minor consideration. The factor that I'm drawn to hone in on this week, you can kind of see Venus and Mars coming a little closer together, and that's where my main focus is going to be. Here it's Monday, we're in Pisces season. Our dreamscape, the dreamscape is something that Pisces says, yes, I need to, engage in this kind of dance of the thoughts that I don't necessarily control, but I want to pay attention to. And this image that I've chosen for the background, this is from a painting series I did, I don't even know how many years ago, a long time ago. And I called it my Whale Dream series. And here you can kind of see a couple of whales floating around in space around something that is being born. And that is part of the focus that I'm going to, ask us to contemplate here as we, see Venus and Mars are getting closer and closer together. They're only, less than a degree apart. So they're starting to work on Wednesday. They're at 6 degrees of Aquarius. And this is an interesting set of Sabian symbols that go into play, because as you can see, if I move this forward a couple of days, you can kind of see that Venus and Mars are hanging together at 6, 7, and 8 degrees of Aquarius. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the Sabian symbols for those particular degrees, because they're very much, well, let's back up just a bit. The recent dance that both Mars and Venus did with Pluto set in motion a social, let's call it a dive into the social fabric of what it is that, we as, hopefully deliberate human beings on the planet are being asked to really look very pointedly at, because of the Pluto factor, what is it that we might be tempted to, or at least willing, maybe not willing, but probably unwilling to let go of in our experience of how we view the social paradigm experience that we're living with and through. Venus, how we get along with others. Mars, that driving energy, that warrior archetype. There's something very pressing that Mars represents. Anyway, Mars and Venus, masculine and feminine energies, are coming together for 3 days at 6, 7, and 8 degrees of Aquarius. And I'm going to just, consider as the backdrop for what these Sabian symbols represent, the context of the social, what should we call it? Context within which we are being invited to consider, being effective with. Here on the first day, Wednesday, a mercurial day. And Mercury, you can kind of see, it's also just about to shift itself on into that dreamscape of Pisces. And these Sabian symbols might give you a version of things to, throw into that mill of contemplation as we proceed through this next week. The first here, a child is seen being born out of an egg. Now, that's a unique thing. I think it is one of the reasons why I chose this particular image that's behind me, is because there is something, astrologically that is a connection to space that this particular whale support for what it is that's about to be born is taking place. The emergence, this is a keynote for this, the emergence of a new mutations according to the great rhythms of the cosmos. Now, you just can't make this stuff up. Now, the ancient symbolism of the cosmic egg, out of which a new universe is born, can be interpreted at several levels. Here, we see the appearance of a new type of human being who is not born from ancestors and who therefore is free from the inertia of mankind's past. He is a new product, he or she is a new product of evolution, a mutant. He or she constitutes a fresh projection of the creative spirit that emanates from the cosmic or planetary whole, and not from any local culture and racial tradition. Are you ready for that? It can be said to announce the emergence of a global human. For the new age, the power of the whole is focused within him or her, in perfect freedom from ancient standards of value based on local conditions. We go ahead to Thursday, our Jupiter day, which, by the way, these two planets are sliding into a position where they're going to square Jupiter. So Jupiter is in the mix, How can we, Jupiter says, how can we expand the perspective of what it is that is being considered from a Taurian space? Is it connected in some fashion to this Mother Earth that we exist upon? The next Sabian symbol reads, beautifully gowned wax figures on display. Where do these thoughts come from? Anyway, the keynote. The inspiration one may derive from the appearance of exemplars who present to us the archetypes of a new culture. You kind of see how all these energies are unfolding one into the next. Here, we're dealing with the fixed symbols upon which a culture is based, with mental archetypes. They are kept and made available as patterns to imitate, or at least from which to draw new motives for inspiration. We are at the stage of vision. New forms are revealed to the consciousness, as well as new ways of meeting other people in social relationships. Remember, we're talking of the Aquarius archetype. This is an aspect of the social realm where we interact quite specifically one with another, and often at a group level. In a sense, the generic human past and the future are implied here. The wax figures are impersonal forms. The gowns constitute a static presentation of ideal patterns, yet they are the preformation of what will be experienced in the culture being born. They herald new collective developments. Friday, our Venus day. Venus crosses over Saturn, quite specifically, but still, they're in the same degree. And so the next Sabian symbol reads, to add to our story, a flag is seen turning into an eagle. And by the way, this 8th degree is the degree that my sun was at when I was born. The keynote, the dynamic incorporation of new social values in individuals who exemplify the spiritual potential and greatest significance of these values. This symbol nearly duplicates the one for Sagittarius 12 degrees, but this fivefold sequence, which we're just now coming to the end of, or nearing the end of, it has a somewhat different meaning, especially since the last term of the mysterious transformation, i.e. the crowing of the eagle and the Chanticleer's fashion, that being the 12 degrees of Sagittarius, is omitted. All that is implied here is the visualization of a powerful symbol, its embodiment in a living reality, i.e., in a person able to fly in consciousness to the highest spiritual realm. This archetype is giving living substance and wings. The image has become a power. To see, in quotes, the new archetype, to perceive the new standard of value with one's mind is not enough. The seer must become the door. The impersonal is dynamized and brought into focus. We have here the acting out of a vision. There is a vibrant resonance to that particular flavor that is at the core of what I sense we might be able to tune that dream aspect that Pisces is inviting us to participate in this next week as we begin the month-long Piscean dance, to, in hopefully some fashion, perceive through more than the dream aspect, an invitation that, while sometimes seems to come through the dreamscape, is in, asking us, are you willing to participate in something that is new, seeking to be born through you, through us, in the magic of life's unfoldment that is right there before us, knocking on the door, saying, anybody home? I hope you can feel that, because that energy that is being invited for our consideration is not a small thing. Are you ready to become a new being? And you notice I didn't say new human being, but a new being. I think if I were to couch it in human forms, I would say more than human being, not caught up in the machinations of, everyday culture that has been, derived through coercion and overt control over for so long that we've lost sight of a lot of the, magnificence of what it means to, as a soul being, inhabit these human forms now in the adventure of discovering, a new form of life that is begging for our participation in it right now. Excuse my excitement, but I am not able to help it. This is the kind of magical factors that, we can allow our awareness to pursue through more than just the nightly dreamscape. My shamanic teachers along the way, and I think these are probably something that came out of South American shamanism, that the dream that our Western culture has basically been attempting to prioritize for the continuation of that Western archetype is not working well. And it is time for a new dream, something perhaps just more than in a minor stance is tuned into all the aspects of what it means to be alive here on the planet. Is that tree attempting to communicate with you? Are you in tune with it? Are other living beings, animals and otherwise, actually able to communicate effectively with us in and to the benefit for all living on the planet? These are not minor questions that I'm putting out. This is very significant for the development of that new version of what it means to be a new human being. I set about during this week in my dreamscape. I don't think that I set it as an intention before going to sleep, but during my sleep, my thoughts were leading to, what might be a new version, a new mythos, as it were, to tune into that could be something for all of us to wake up to as something really primal that is attempting to awaken our souls to actually engaging with one another and all of life in a new fashion that is more inclusive And there's more of a recognition of the energy beings that we all are existing within an energy field that connects us all one to another. Everything. And the question that I'm going to pose to you that I came in those dreams that I was having is, how many coal mine canaries are required for continuing survival? I wrestled with that most of the rest of that night. This was Tuesday night, so I woke up on Valentine's Day, really kind of contemplating, how many canaries might I be willing to sacrifice, or have I already sacrificed? And did I really get the message? Something is not functioning that will continue survival. Sorry to be so heavy here, but these are not basically insignificant times that we're living within. Saturday comes and we have a full moon over here. It happens at 5 degrees of Virgo. And if you look at just the general pattern of the chart, this is what's known as a bucket. And a bucket is a bunch of planets together. And you can kind of see all these planets almost within a square of each other. And there's one planetary or one celestial being, the moon in this case, that is the handle of the bucket. And so everything, all the rest of these planets are swinging by this lunar aspect. The moon, the version of feminine receptivity, the mom, if you were. In the sign of Virgo, Virgo can be seen as many things, but I'm going to lean into one, and that is the mentor. Because of Virgo's tenacity and way of, aligning things in just such a way that the organizational factors are such that they make sense. The moon, can you feel something within you that the way you have put things together might be interesting to others? Now, mind you, a true mentor is not necessarily going to go out of their way to say, hey, I discovered this thing. It's more like they live that reality. And others might say, wow, I noticed something about your living experience that, I want to know more of, because something about it, really, it sparkles in one sense. There's something magnetic about it that says, I need to participate in this. Can you show me? Thus, the mentor says, is it in the fashion of, the Yoda? Oh, so you want to know. You want to know what it is you need to do. Thus, I will give you a challenge. And this challenge, you may think, oh, I cannot make this. I don't know what sense it is to what it is that I want to understand. Yet that is the task. As from a mentor's standpoint, you must complete in order to come back for your next lesson. And the moon up there in Virgo in this full moon, maximum reflected light from where? From that Piscean sun down there in the dreamscape. Pay attention, my friends, to your dreams now. There is the possibility that you are being invited and perhaps instructed in a very new and different way that I can't tell you because, there's a magic in that dreamscape that, is just for you to pay attention to. So, those are my main focus here for this week. And keep the adventure alive, we're in a time frame right now that it requires each and every one of us not just to be, that Aquarian type individual. Yeah, we need to be more social. Take that individuality and compare it one with another. And, maybe that'll be an inspiration for the dreamland. Maybe it's time to wake up to a dream that is more inclusive so that we don't destroy ourselves. We're not going to destroy the planet. Mother Earth says, you're just made up of all of my materials and I will recycle you when, its appropriate time comes. So, but as a soul being occupying these physical vehicles, are you awake enough to really live wholly and completely with one another in an investigative way to magically discover, what is my soul mission? That's all I got for you this week. See you all next week.